Hello friends, and welcome back to another edition of Dilly's Do-It-Yourself Tutorials. Today we're going to be talking about benchmark fractions. These are fractions that you use in your everyday world. We see these fractions when we're cooking, measuring, walking, driving, and so many other everyday activities. I'm sure that you've seen in your kitchen these fractions on measuring cups. They're marked with 1/2, 3/4, 1/3. Have you ever had to share something with a couple friends? This is dividing things into thirds. Well, today we're going to talk about having to use benchmark fractions in day-to-day life and learning how to compare them. So, let's get started. Alright, let's start by looking at a basic number line. Here I have drawn a number line and filled in the basic benchmarks. We've started with a 0 and a 1 and divided it in half. Now we're going to fill in two more benchmarks, and that is the 1/4 and the 3/4. So there you go. Next, we're going to look at the 1/3. As you can see, I have filled in all of the thirds. We can use this number line to compare fractions. By looking at this, you can see that 1/3 is greater than 1/4, and 1/2 is greater than 1/3. 1/4 is less than 2/3, and 3/4 is greater than 1/3. In previous lessons, you learned that you cannot add or subtract fractions unless the denominators are the same. Well, until you have really memorized all of your benchmarks fractions, a number line can help you. So let's take a look back at our number line and find 2/3 and 3/4. As you can see, 3/4 is larger than 2/3. Let's take a look at these two fractions. One way to think about it is comparing it to a whole. If you think about 1/3, you need 3/3 to equal a whole. You only have 1/3. So you still need 2 more thirds to equal a whole. With the other fraction, you have 3/4. You need 4/4 to equal a whole. So there you only need 1 more fourth. So which one do you think is bigger? You need 2 more thirds to equal a whole, or 1 more fourth to equal a whole. Which one of those is bigger? Correct. 3/4 is closer to 1 whole. Roar. Let's take a look at this example. Think of your benchmark fraction 1/2. If we look at 6/10, what do we need to make 1/2? 5/10 would be 1/2. So we are just a little over halfway with 6/10. However, what would we need to make 1/2 for the 1/8? That's right, we would need 4/8 to make a half there. And here in the 6/10 we said we would need 5/10. Okay, so now we can see which one is closer to the halfway mark, and that is another way for us to tell which one is larger. So 6/10 is larger than 2/8. Rawr. As you get used to working with the fractions, you will start recognizing these and becoming more comfortable with them. But there is a way to multiply the fractions to solve and figure out which ones are larger. and to compare them. So here's how you do it. You look at each of their denominators and you multiply the fractions by their opposite denominator. So the 3/4 we're going to multiply by 3/3. We're going to take the 3 from the other fraction and we're going to multiply it by 1 3/3, which equals 1 whole. So we're going to multiply 3/4 by 1, and it's going to be 3/3, and we're going to get 9/12. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to multiply 2/3 by 1 whole, and that 1 whole will be 4/4. And we got that 4 from this denominator. So we're just using the opposite denominators to multiply by. And now we're going to get 8/12. Now, you're going to compare the new fractions that you got. So 3/4 is equal to 9/12. 2/3 is equal to 8/12. Look at your numerators, and whichever one is larger, the original fraction is the larger fraction. That means that 3/4 is the larger fraction. Roar! Okay, let's take a look at another example and do it exactly the same way. Here we go, back to the board, and our examples are 1/2 and 1/3. Well, looking at the number line, we can clearly see that 1/2 is larger than 1/3. But let's go back to our board and do what we said. We're going to take our denominators and opposite sides will be multiplied by that denominator. So we're going to multiply our first fraction by 1 whole, and we're going to choose 2/2. So this will equal, we're multiplying here, so this will equal 2/6. And this one we're going to multiply by 3/3. And that will equal 3/6. Alright, let's compare our final answers. So our 1/3 equals 2/6, and our 1/2 equals 3/6. So, which one is larger? You compare your numerators, and 1/2 is larger. Oh, let's have some fun. Give pretty blue eyes and some angry red teeth. And let's have our alligator look very angry. There you go. Alright, well that's all well and good. But then you say, wait, Mrs. Dilly, what happens when we get a number that's not on our number line? Or what if we don't have a number line in front of us? Well, you know I always have something in my back pocket to help you out. So here's a little trick for you. It's called cross multiplying. So here's the trick. All you have to do is cross multiply the numbers. So you're going to multiply 6 times 4, and you're going to go 6 times 4, which is 24, and you're going to write it up there. And then you're going to multiply 5 times 3, and you're going to multiply and put it up here. And whichever one is larger, as the larger number above it, that will be the one that is larger. So 4/5 is larger than 3/6. And there's your alligator. Okay. Here's another one. So let's try 2/3 and 4/8. Now, I would like you to be able to look at this and see that 4/8 is 1/2. and be able to think, is 1/2 bigger or smaller than 2/3? But let's go ahead and do our cross multiplying. So 2 times 8 is 16, and 3 times 4 is 12. And then you can go ahead and fill in your sign. 16 is bigger than 12. So there you go. There's your answer. I guess I better get going, you guys. I think somebody wasn't real happy with my drawing. Bye.